attendees.
Okay. Tess is here. There we go.
And Officer Delbar just popped in as well.
Okay, great. And he's a panelist, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. And
all right, we are now streaming and recording.
One question. There is a phone number on here. Do I promote that?
I see that, yeah. And
that could be Lee.
Let me check Lee's phone number. That looks familiar, that number. He might be calling in from the school.
Okay. Wow, there's something going on outside.
Oh, I hear that too. Big time. No, that number I don't think is Lee's. It's not the number I have for him.
Okay.
Wow.
What'd you do now?
I might
Good
have
night for public safety, huh?
I might have to go check it out.
Give us a live
Well, we have
update.
Officer Delbar.
I
He
just
can-
had a police car drive down my very quiet street with his lights going and sirens. So
Officer Delbar now.
what's happening?
Uh-oh. Well, shall we start?
Yes.
Okay.
We have quorum.
Great. Okay, welcome everybody to the public safety meeting, and it is 7:02 and we will be starting right now. I'm calling to order.
We need to call roll.
Okay, so I'm gonna call roll right now. Shannon Hartman, I'm here. Yes. Colby Jensen.
Yes.
I guess I don't see your last name. Robin.
Here.
Tess.
Here.
Kevin Dees. No.
Don't see him. No.
Okay. Lee.
Excuse.
Jameson. Nope. Ron Bambini.
Yes.
Okay. And Sean.
Here.
Great. Okay. So we have a quorum. Okay, great. So next we're gonna okay the minutes or pass the minutes. Is that what approve the minutes? First of all, we're gonna start with September 12th.
Just
everybody
read
read
the
the
motion. Just read the motion.
Okay, do I read the motion? To
Yeah.
approve the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, September 12th, 2022 Public Safety Committee minutes.
You
do I have
take those
first?
first. Robin.
Okay, second?
Tess.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we vote.
We have discussion.
Any discussion?
You asked a discussion from the board and then from the public, and Jonathan Gregory's raised his hand.
Okay.
So go over, Shannon, you see Jonathan Gregory's raised his
Yes.
hand under participants?
But allowed to talk?
Yeah, and then go over and then go to more, or just push allow to talk and then lower hand.
Okay. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, thank you very much. I presume none of the board members have any comments, right?
We don't have any comments, but what would you
Okay.
like to say?
What I would like to say is that, again, it wasn't quite posted properly. If you bring up the document on this meeting, it should have been posted as a draft, the draft minutes. Are we talking about the minutes of October or the minutes of September?
September.
Right. So September minutes you had to on the website, they're available, but they're posted as if they've already been voted on and approved. So you'll have to go back to the subsequent meeting in those notes to find that meeting, those unapproved meeting notes. So it's a mess. Whoever is putting it on the computer has to pay attention to a little bit of what they're doing so that when something's not already voted on, it shows up as a meeting document rather than as a historical document on a previous meeting. So something to pay attention to, not for you specifically, Shannon, but whoever's posting this stuff, it's not happening correctly. So if anyone's looking for it, it isn't there. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll,
Thank you.
okay, great.
Okay.
Any other comments?
No,
Stakeholders or public?
who posts it for us?
God, I still hear the ambulance. I mean, name.
Doesn't Lee post them?
Yeah, our social media person posts them. Mhm.
So I'll need to talk to her about that then?
It's whatever got sent, and that could be my fault. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at the emails. It all depends. You know, we had a trend here, so We'll look into it, but thank you, Jonathan. We'll
Thank you,
make sure
Jonathan.
that it's updated.
Actually, the answer of that question is evident. If you look at what was posted, it's not marked as a draft.
Oh,
So
okay.
whoever got it at the website, so it wasn't a draft and they posted it properly. It needs to be a draft. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one question? So if we pass it tonight, do we have to go back and change it, or can we leave it?
Well, now it will be approved, so it will be a approved draft, but he's just stating that it was, I guess, posted that it was approved.
Okay,
So
Okay.
but we will correct that.
thank you. Okay, so since it's been first and seconded, all in favor of passing?
So
Roll call.
we'll take roll. Colby.
Okay,
Wait, let me read it again. Motion A to approve GTLNC September 12th, 2022 Public Safety Committee minutes as amended. I'll put, since Jonathan made that comment. Colby.
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Tess.
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin is excused. Lee is excused. Ron.
Abstain because I never got a copy of it.
All right. And Sean.
You know what? Yes, because I was there last week, but I'm actually looking for the minutes, so I never got a copy of the minutes.
All
they
right.
both came, I think, in this last month.
Yeah.
I've got both. I believe I have both copies. I think it was an attachment this month because we didn't have them last month.
Yeah.
For September.
And
Jen, how do you
Shannon?
vote?
Yay.
I
Sorry.
vote. I pass.
Okay, yes.
Great. Motion carries. Okay, now we'll do motion B.
Okay, to approve the GTLNC October 3rd, 2022 public safety minutes on October 3rd. Do I have a first?
Tess.
Okay. Second?
Sean.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. So, who, now I know we're in a transition, so who put together these minutes? Was it you, Shannon, or Robin, or was it Liz?
I believe it was me. I'm
Okay.
kind of helping out. We're
Yeah,
still,
okay.
Shannon and I have not been able to connect, so
Okay, do you guys need help with this? I'm happy to help.
no, we're good. Shannon's just gotta learn.
Okay, Shannon, I'm available to help you at any time. I'm a
Thank you.
phone call or a text away. I have a comment though. From September, October, I had asked about West Toluca Lake updates being placed on the agenda, and they've fallen off the meeting minutes and the agenda. So, yeah.
sorry.
So, and I'd be grateful if West Toluca Lake was not so frequently forgotten.
Okay, well, you can always speak about West Toluca Lake.
Okay.
You at any time. You are welcome to bring up West Toluca Lake.
All right, but it would be nice to have it on the agenda as well. So I'm just saying, thank you.
You're welcome. So we got that noted. Okay. So we go to a vote.
Any discussion on the October 3rd minutes?
We'll look for hands.
I don't see any.
I don't see
Let's
hands.
go to a vote. Motion B, approve the GTLNC October 3rd, 2022 Public Safety Committee minutes. Colby,
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Tess,
Yes.
Kevin is excused. Lee is excused. Ron,
Again, abstain because I haven't seen
all
them.
right. And Sean
Yes.
and Shannon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, public comment, Shannon.
Okay. We're open to public comment. Would anybody like to make one? Okay, I'm
I
at
see
Lionel.
Lionel Mars has the hand raised.
Okay, Lionel, I'm putting you on.
Thank you, board members. Good evening. My name is Lionel Maris. I'm here because I'd like to inform the Valley communities that there has been a rise in catalytic converter theft. I have already alerted Chief Michael Moore during the neighborhood of Congress, and I sent him an email, and I also spoke with the Foothill Division Station, and I feel like all neighborhood councils should pressure their senior lead officers and Chief Moore that they should do more patrols, because the person, my truck has been victim vandalized. Luckily the catalytic converter is still intact, but they almost stole the whole thing. And there's been a lot of reports in the San Fernando Valley, like Sun Valley, Burbank, and Van Nuys, and Pacoima, and Northridge, Chatsworth, Porter Ranch. They're really aggressive, and there's like at least 2 or 3 individuals, male suspects. I don't know their identities, but they're going around, and just be on the alert. And we have to make sure LAPD is doing more night patrols. That concludes my public comment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask Lionel a quick question? What area do you live in? What part of the city?
I live in Council District 6 in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, which is not that far from Burbank or Toluca Lake.
Right, right. I just wanted to know. So the east end of the valley?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
And
Thank
then
you,
Shannon,
John.
I see Jonathan Gregory has his hand
Okay,
up.
John. Okay, Jonathan. I'm gonna. There you go. Can you, Jonathan?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. A couple of things. First of all, Shannon, I would direct a request to you that when you write the agenda for public safety,
Yes.
that you always pick up the phone and have a chat with Tess and with Luis, because both of those people are so keenly aware of what's going on in the community from day to day, as well as month to month, that to put together an agenda without their input overlooks the essential of what's going on in the street since the last time you wrote an agenda. So I couldn't do it without talking to them, because they know what's going on. For example, I hope you'll be hearing about what's going on with the lighting, things like that. It's just not possible to make a really good agenda that addresses all of the facts without talking to people who have their hands on what just took place this month. So that's my recommendation about an agenda, but I always thank you for your effort to do it. The second thing has to do with accountability. Something came up that I'm not going to bring it up in the general meeting, because I'm not here to make anyone feel bad about themselves. But when one of us or a governmental employee doesn't hold someone accountable for an act for which they should be accountable, and generally I'm talking about something illegal, then that's a problem for public safety, because when people perceive there's no accountability, then there's no consequence to doing something wrong. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. And as I said, I'm not bringing it up in the general meeting in front of the world of the neighborhood council. But when Tiffany Zaytunian responded to unsheltered people tearing down legal postings of cleanups, which is an illegal act in itself, her only remark to it was, we need to build a relationship with these people and get them housed. That's not going to cut it for me. And I let her know real clear. And I think we all need to be real clear with the councilman's office that when someone breaks the law, that's not grounds for building a relationship. That's grounds for prosecution. It's grounds for criticism, or just plain accountability. And when you turn your back on that, you're actually planting the seeds for more trouble. So that is in writing. This is nothing of which I'm saying is my opinion. I'm talking about accountability for illegal acts. And we know what took place, but yet it was not treated as if, it was treated as if we're dealing with a bunch of French poodles running loose in our public areas. That is not what's going on. So I just want to say it here that we have to take a stand, I believe, to resist that temptation, not to hold people accountable, because of course it could come back to us as being unkind and uncaring. I don't view it like that. I view it as our duty to hold people accountable. There was one other thing, and I kind of got myself into a frenzy over that.
Jonathan, you had 2 minutes. I know you went over, so if you could just wrap that up.
Thank you. I'm done.
Okay.
Can I ask one question, or do we get to ask questions?
Of
No,
course.
we don't do back and forth.
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
generally, unless it's something really simple.
My quick question was about, just not in general, though, was this, I'm just taking some notes. The signage was taken down?
Colby, just so
Yeah, you
you,
can go
it's
ahead.
clear,
Go ahead. It's fine.
it's just so it's clear, whenever a public member speaks and a board member wants clarification, even if it entails, it's the board member's prerogative to establish a dialogue. It's recommended that there not be one for the sole purpose of record keeping. But if a board is going to get more knowledge about a problem, it's a
Yes.
good thing. Your question is, what exactly took place?
Yes.
Evidently, I was in reading the exchange of emails. Unsheltered people were ripping. First of all, you have to understand, in order for cleaning to occur, there has to be a legal posting. These legal
Oh.
postings, posting is the word used for cardboard as opposed to signs. So we're not talking about permanent signs. Posting is temporary. So there has to be a posting. They were ripping down the signs
Okay.
in an effort to deny that. I guess that they felt they were controlling their destiny in that manner. Whatever, it's illegal.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else? Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to just mention to Lionel Morris, if he's still here. Lionel, we met at the Los Angeles Alliance of Neighborhood Councils this past weekend. So I believe a catalytic converter ring has just been broken up. We'll probably hear about that from Officer Delbar. And there's certainly been a lot of not so great activity in our neck of the woods, Officer Delbar, which I'll fill you in on after we've heard from you. So that's it.
Great, thank you.
So maybe we should go right into Curtis.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity. I can hear it right above our
Yeah,
heads.
and Curtis, there is a helicopter overhead and lots of police presence on Valley Spring Lane. I'm not sure what's going on, but it sounds pretty lively.
Yeah, it appears that there's some kind of a Grand Theft Auto investigation going on up and down Valley Spring,
Okay,
near the golf course.
yes, right near the golf course. Okay,
Yeah, so I'm trying to dual task right now.
okay, perfect. Well, if you want, I could go on to Neighborhood Watch if you want to check into that, because we have a couple things we do want to ask you.
Yeah, that may be good for right now. Just gonna put it on mute so I can just hear
Okay,
what's going on.
okay.
So Robin, do you want, Tiffany's not here, so we're not doing,
No, Tiffany, no, I don't see her.
No.
A couple of things. Number one, Halloween, I had a call from a watch captain who was very concerned about public safety during Halloween. I hope everybody made it through Halloween safely and happily. But our neighborhood was a bit of a mess. Our roads get very crowded. And there was talk about possibly blocking off certain streets or maybe making them one way for a few hours during Halloween. I mean, obviously, we're not going to have to deal with this until next year, but just to put it out there that maybe streets like Foreman and Valley Spring Lane, there are certain streets that get extremely crowded, and because the sidewalks are so crowded, people walk in the streets, and then there's no room for cars, and there's no room for cars anyway. So it's very dangerous on a lot of the streets. Was oh, you don't know, Colby, was the estate crowded on Halloween? Colby, were the estates crowded on Halloween?
I wasn't here. I was on
On the other street. Okay,
the other street.
okay.
Robin?
Yeah.
Steve Hamper has a question, I believe.
Oh, good. That's my
I'm gonna allow him to talk. Is that okay? Are
Yes,
you ready?
please.
Okay.
please.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Yes.
Okay, no, I'm just jumping on. Thanks, Robin. I just got on, and yeah, I just wanted to add to that you know, over the past years we talked about actually blocking the streets. We know we can't do that, but you know, it seems feasible that maybe if we had some traffic officers out here, we could, make things a lot more calm by, especially Valley Spring Lane, making that a one-way street, maybe some of the other streets, and that might control things. People put up caution tape and cones, and but what happens, you can't really regulate that, so that all gets moved, and it just turns into it's sort of a disaster. So you're right, we won't have to worry about that till next year, but maybe I just want to throw out that is that a possibility, Officer Delbar?
He is,
He's
I
listening to the
believe
radio.
he's on a call right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve, I'm sure you can hear it. There's a police presence and a helicopter on Valley.
Yeah,
Lane.
I was going to ask
Yeah,
about that.
Curtis said it's a Grand Theft Auto in process. Their progress. They don't know. It's on the street near Lakeside. So
If he has a chance to talk to us, we'll address that then. If that's okay, Steve?
Yeah, of course.
hang in there. Hang in there.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're on to my LA 311.
Yeah. Yes, we're gonna go to yes.
I guess that's something I had said last meeting. Just to reiterate, to encourage everybody, if they're having an issue, to use my 311, because, for instance, with all the lights that are out on Riverside Drive, I do have an appointment tomorrow with Tiffany. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. and I'll be talking to her about that again. We're on a waiting list, but it's important that everybody knows that to reach out and to do a reports, because that's the only way that they can act upon it. It's not just a phone call from us or just a phone call from anybody. It has to be a report that's made and then forwarded to Councilman Krikorian's office.
And the more reports that are made, the quicker things get done because they see it's a problem.
I filed 20 requests within
Oh
the
my
last
gosh.
7 days because of
We
light
like
outages.
that.
And we'll address this with Officer Delbar. We had a lot of streetlight vandalism in the last couple of days. And something that we're doing at our community meetings is we're teaching people, giving little tutorials on how to use the 311 app, because it does give a fair number of false positives, I see, because I collect them for the neighborhood. And when you are dealing with such a high proportion, you see that the system is imperfect. But I'm in touch with the director of technology at the 311 Tech Center about this. And I'm learning more about how to, I'm helping them with user testing to reduce the number of false positives, among other things. So
that's great. Thank you.
I attempted to use 311 for the little encampment at Foreman and Camarillo, and I got the response back. Our investigation shows this location is a homeless encampment, and then just sort of put it off.
So Colby, and you forwarded that to me. Are we talking about the same 311 request?
Is it at that little triangle, that little island?
You sent it to me last week. Is that the one?
I sent you a request, but I got a response back. I'll forward this to you right now, Tess. I don't know if I sent you this.
Well, is it? Yeah, I received it from you, but my question to you is, the city's response is what precisely? That
the city's response is, our investigation shows this location as a homeless encampment. For the homeless encampment procedure, please refer to LA Municipal Code 5611 protocol. This may result in a cleanup delay. If you require more information, call 1-800-773.
Okay, so in other words, they give you a reason, but no action taken. And
right, they kind of blew it off. They blew it off.
And this is the one that you sent me last Thursday, correct?
That's right. Let me forward you, just so you have it in your records.
Okay, and the encampment is still there, correct?
Yeah, I saw it today. Yeah.
All right.
And I don't expect anything to change, as you know.
Okay. Well, on the other hand, Ron Babini filed one and forwarded it to me, and it was removed within 48 or 72 hours. So Ron, the one under the underpass at Cahuenga, and for what it's worth, just yesterday I saw that the encampments that were cleared by way of the 4118 designation, the special enforcement zone designation under Lankershim, the Lankershim underpass next to McDonald's, are now getting very busy again. And unfortunately, those special enforcement zones are only good for 1 year. So that's expired because it was ordered on September 21st of last year. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm going to look more closely at that over the next week.
And how do we get another year added onto that?
I believe the process has to be renewed, and we have been trying to get that designation for a chronic problem on Riverside Drive, 2 areas, since February of this year.
Okay.
And as I understand it, Mayor Garcetti is resistant to the idea of special enforcement zones. But I don't know what other manner or way is possible, because this Tiffany has sent out cleaning crews repeatedly. We get pretty good cleanings, and then within a matter of hours, the problem has resurfaced in the same place, because basically all the city does is clean up the area, remove some trash, but the people who do not wish to take services are free to return, and they do. And this has been going on in 2 locations in our neighborhood since February 12th of this year. So we have monthly cleanups hauling cubic tons of trash, cubic literal tons, and services have been offered. I've actually helped at least one guy get into a tiny home, and I was pretty irritated with a LASA employee, a guy by the name of Francisco Bayardo, who offered to help a homeless person at my request and then never showed up and never responded. And I'm following up with LASA about that, because I find that to be pretty outrageous, that somebody who needed and wanted help and was told that he could get help was then completely overlooked and ignored. So Mr. Francisco Bayardo will be hearing more from me soon.
Thank you, Tess. Okay, but watch out for Francisco. Okay. So can we move to open house?
Yeah, the open house is Saturday,
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
And oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Officer Delbar and I spoke last week, and because all the street lights are out, most of them are out, and it is a day event, which is going to be a lot safer. And we have, he's going to close, Foreman from Riverside to Kling Street during the event. So, which is nice, because this doesn't really have to do with the open house, but kind of. I had an open house meeting last week, and the women that are on this committee with me, we were all talking about how we almost got run over at Foreman on Riverside. And so, so I talked to Officer Delbar about this, because what happened that very same evening, I was driving down Foreman, I was making a left-hand turn going east, and I almost ran over somebody. And I was so vigilant, but what it was the sun was going down. I could barely see it. Her head's down, she's texting. I'm making a left-hand turn, and I'm so watchful, but I couldn't see her. And I assure you, I've had cataract surgery. I had 20/20 vision. It's a blind spot. So I was just asking Officer Delbar, what can we do? Because we've already had people get hit, but it's going to be worse.
And you said to Kling Street, all the way down to Kling Street, or just to Sarah?
Is that Kling or Sarah?
Sarah. Okay.
Sarah is the first one, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, me to Sarah.
No worries.
Okay.
Okay, so that's good. I think Curtis is still, it's still hot. I can hear the helicopters. So he's probably still on this.
Curtis, are you ready yet?
Yeah, I have a few minutes. I can maybe get that.
So maybe this might be a good time to talk to you about this too.
Yeah. All right.
So we're talking about
question.
The open house on Saturday, December 3rd from 12 to 5. Shannon mentioned that you're going to have the street blocked off from Foreman and Riverside to Sarah Street. So just under the freeway, basically.
Yes. Let me double check it real quick.
I think it's actually Sarah.
What's the date of the open house?
It's Saturday, the 3rd of December, from 12 to 5.
Yes.
Now, Steve has a question. do we ask now? Is it for Officer Delbar or do we?
Yeah, you could go ahead and propose the question and we'll see if Curtis can.
Okay, Steve,
Well,
we're
no.
gonna put you on. Okay, Steve, you're on. Hello, Steve?
Steve, can you hear us? There we
There
go.
you go. There we go. I was just gonna chime in on the crosswalk. How, it's hard to see people crossing sometimes and they're not paying attention. In Glendale, they have something which I personally like. Some people may not like it, where they have the flashing lights that run next to the crosswalk through the street, and you can't help miss those. They're pretty, they're pretty obvious. And so I like that. I don't think it's too costly, and I just wanted to mention that.
I agree. I think that for me, I think what's gonna be more costly is lawsuits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll see Tiffany tomorrow too. When I'm talking to her, I'll bring that up.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Okay. Officer Delbar?
Yeah, there was a few things that were brought up during this whole thing. I guess we'll start with Tess, is what she was inquiring about.
Yes.
What was that, Tess, that you were inquiring about?
Oh, Tess?
Sorry,
Yes.
what am I referring to? What exactly, Officer Delmar?
Did you have something you brought up earlier?
The homeless
Yeah.
encampments?
The homeless encampments?
Yeah, there's so much. I can run through a very quick list for you. So we had massive streetlight vandalization in our neighborhood last week. I think you've been informed of that. Over 21 service requests, and concrete vaults ruptured the base of street lamps, cement street lamps been knocked out. It's basically copper wire theft on steroids. And I reported this to Tiffany, who sent it up the line to Bureau of Street Lighting. And since she was not able to get a more, we needed to get some kind of response. This is emergency level stuff because half the neighborhood is now in darkness. So I called the executive director of the Bureau of Street Lighting and got an immediate response, which is great. I'm meeting with him this week, and they sent out a crew right away of 8 people to confirm that indeed it was vandalism. I learned quite a lot from this crew. I want to thank them very much. Dylan Rios, Martin Swart, Alex Cardenas, Niles Watson, Jamie De La Pena, Mark Hewitt, Daniel Franco, all really good guys. They say that copper wire theft is up more than 4 times over the last 2 years. Very, very important development and not a good one. They also said that Bureau of Street Lighting rarely works at night or on weekends. So if you see people in safety vests, ask to see their badges. Funding is an issue to get these things repaired. The problem is that the recycling centers, many of which are city owned, are accepting this copper wire. In essence, they are accepting stolen property. There is some move afoot, and I'm going to find out more about this, to stop accepting stolen or cut wires. And when they're pulled versus cut, that makes a difference because some thieves simply pull the wires in order to darken the neighborhood in order to burglarize, whereas cutting them is more time consuming and is done in order to harvest the copper for recycling. So we should somehow address making illegal the acceptance of copper wire. I don't know how we'd go about doing that, but this also ties into the light poles being replaced on Riverside Drive. They have selected a new design which obviates the base with the little trap door, the cement base. So those will be impossible to vandalize unless they knock the entire pole over. And frankly, the way things are going these days, that's possible. But on the good side, the Riverside underpass lighting is being corrected. It was being repaired today because one of the problems with that was that the fixtures were so old that the parts were no longer available. So street lighting is being repaired. We've got the homeless encampments on Riverside Drive. As you know, Officer Delbar, I saw you there the last time we had that cleanup on October, let's see, that was, the last one was on October 7th. And within a matter of days, it was just the same, if not worse than before. So one has to wonder, why is all of this effort being made and this expense being put forth when we're just doing the same things over and over? So there's that. Certainly we're pushing for the 4118 special enforcement zone designation unless someone has better ideas. I do know that at least one person has been housed, and I've helped with that. But when people resist housing, I don't know what exactly we're supposed to do. That's the big dilemma. And the abandoned house on Blick Street, 11228 Blick Street, has been boarded over. We're deeply grateful to the Department of Building and Safety Inspector Dwayne Johnson for overseeing that. That's looking pretty good, and I think it's virtually impenetrable at this point. So the problems that nuisance property has been engendering, I think, are now going to cease, at least for the near to medium term. And last but not least, we had a mailbox theft at the apartments at 11124 Camarillo. I informed the building manager because I found stolen mail out on a walk, and they have filed a police report. So, and that apparently is the third time that has happened at that building. So, we have all kinds of a constellation of interesting developments here in West Toluca Lake, and we're doing our best to stay on top of it. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Tess.
Real quick, Tess, would you be able to send me a photo of what that new streetlight base looks like when you get a chance?
Yeah, I will. Yes.
Because I'm curious to see. Hopefully, it isn't penetrable. I really do, because this streetlight theft of copper thefts has been going on in North Hollywood Park, South Wellington Park, North Wellington Park, Riverside Drive. It's becoming a big issue.
Yeah, it's huge, and they can't repair it fast enough. I said, what would the time frame be to repair all the damage in this neighborhood? They said 8 days, full on with overtime. So that's good, but there's so much of this happening in the valley. There's a whole rash of it, and probably on the west side too. But the worst of it, I think, is in the valley. So there's certainly a crime ring, it would appear, who are out helping themselves to copper wire. So I'll send you a picture of that tomorrow when I, during daylight. Can we increase patrols here in this area, Officer Delbar? I mean, Sarah Street is completely, utterly dark, like zero lights.
Can your neighbors put more lighting?
Well, yeah, we can, but it's the city's responsibility. And I'm when I have more information from the executive director, I'll make some recommendations to neighbors so that they can put out their own lighting as well. But it and some of them already have it. But we'd like the street lighting to be restored as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I know that side of the road is very dark.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can absolutely put in extra patrol requests, and they can do it when there's time available to do it. Like right now for the GTA suspect over on Valley Spring, a lot of our resources are over there right now.
Okay, well, send them over to us when you're done.
And Curtis, I believe a report was sent to you regarding a tent that was put up on the Camarillo and Foreman median. There's a blue tent, and I saw the guy standing there the other day. Is there anything that we can do to help this gentleman? Has any agencies gone out to check on him to see if he's okay, or you know anything about that guy?
So last time I went there, which was a few days ago, there was no one there. There's a lock on the tent on the outside, so that means that he or she, whoever's staying in that tent, was not there.
You can put a lock on a tent?
You just put a little padlock on the outside. It's kind of a security thing so that no one goes and breaks into your tent and steals your items.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah,
nobody
put it in
was
the
there?
zipper like a suitcase.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we could do right now is put in something called an LA hop request.
Yeah.
so that lost site can go out and respond to that location and make them aware that a tent is there. Because I mean, it's hard to see it from the outside. You have to walk up on it and look and check it out, which is what I'm going to continually try and do to make contact with that person.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I did see him. He is a gentleman. I did see him standing there. Mhm.
So I spoke to some people in the area, and he may or may not be the guy I knew last time that was there.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Well, it looks like the same blue tent.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can make contact with him and get him some resources over there and see if he'll accept said resources.
Wonderful.
Anything
I
else?
see Jonathan Gregory has his hand raised also.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Are you ready for Jonathan? Here he.
Thank you. I'll be
Hi,
quick.
Jonathan.
Just going back to what Tess was talking about, the Riverside lighting. When Tess had an exchange of emails with the councilman's office, which she's not telling you, and it's very gracious on her part, but I do want to share it, is that we got back a real bureaucratic runaround that was using the word circle around. In other words, it wasn't really biting into the problem and getting to some solutions. What happened? Tess downloaded the contract to find out who the provider is, meaning who is this contractor. We read together, we looked at all of the details of these goings on. This is Tess's wherewithal, that she had to do basically what a government is charged as, or their responsibility for serving the public. She had to do all of this, and she did it. And we looked at all of this. Tess, I'm wondering, did you get in touch with, I think her name was Janet Quam. She is the project manager.
I did call the Department of Public Works today, and I did get more details. So I don't know that the committee needs to hear it, although I'm happy to provide it. And I'm looking at the work days to completion, because the contract requires the lighting to be installed within a certain number of working days, but the start date is unclear. And I think there's not a date certain specifically, because when there are delays that are not the responsibility or not due to the contract service provider, that those do not count as working days. So I will find out more tomorrow, and then in my meeting with the executive director, what the timeline is. But the gentleman that I spoke to today, the supervisor from Servitech, told me that within 2 weeks they should have the new light poles to install on Riverside Drive. So that's great, and Louis Scalacci will be thrilled, but that doesn't necessarily address the problems within Toluca Lake. That is on the border of Toluca Lake, of West Toluca Lake rather. So there's a lot of moving parts here. The Riverside lighting issue predated the recent vandalism last week of half of the light poles within West Toluca Lake. So but I found out a lot more information today, Jonathan, when I called over there. So
okay, you don't have to share it, but like I was saying, I think everyone should be aware. It's amazing that we've got someone like Tess who knows how to do these sort of things and has the wherewithal. We should be able to count on the government to do these sort of things, because it's just what we pay for. And we should be aware when it's not happening. It's one of our own who's getting to the bottom of this sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's accountability. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. And I will mention that related to this, and something to be agendized probably on a future government affairs and maybe even public safety meeting, is there's been more and more discussion of having more council members in more districts, because we have roughly between 250 and 260,000 people per council district in Los Angeles right now. And that's just far too many people for one council member to really adequately respond to. So in fairness, that there's an overburdening of the system there. And this idea has been floated before, and it's starting to pick up speed again, and I think with good reason. So while I do appreciate Tiffany very much, I think she's sort of at the limit of her time and capacity, because there's just too much to be done. I see what happens in our own neighborhood and multiply that by gosh, I don't know how many communities in Council District 2, but there's got to be at least 50. So anyway, thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you both. Thank you. And Officer Delbar, anything else?
I had a question Robin brought up with the Halloween concerns.
Okay.
So I've been getting a call from a few residents regarding the time going up to Halloween as well, about the parties going on weekly at night, whether it's smoke machines or loud music. And this person was saying that it's a plight on her on why she lives in Silver Lake and what's going on over there. So maybe something to consider for sending out a message through Neighborhood Watch about upcoming Halloween parties in the future years. Just being respectful of neighbors and not having go till too late at night, not being too loud for music, things like that. As for the one-way streets, that's, I don't know how beneficial that is going to be. I've been in these communities where Halloween goes on and there are so many people that you can't drive a car in the street.
Yeah,
And-
no, but Curtis, what happens, many streets are blocked, but the two areas, and Steve Hampar's on this call, he can talk to that. I know one year Alice Roth and Steve Hampar put cones and no parking on the golf course side of Valley Spring Lane from Arcola to Foreman. And people move the cones and park there anyway. And as the evening starts to progress, people park on both sides of Valley Spring Lane, which you cannot park on both sides and expect cars to get through in two directions. So if it is possible, I mean, we may have to enlist the help of police, which I don't know if that can be done. I don't know if you can take time off during a couple hours. It's really from like say 5 o'clock until about 9 o'clock that becomes very congested. And if we could just maybe either block off the street, maybe Foreman, so people don't even come down Foreman from Moore Park to Valley Spring Lane and then Arcola to Foreman. That is the V that really is the most congested and the most dangerous, because like I said, the sidewalks get so crowded with people that they start to stand in the street, and then cars are going in both directions, and it's just utter chaos. So I'm shocked that nobody ever gets hurt, because people are very frustrated because they can't move. And so they inch along with their cars, and I'm shocked people don't get hurt because people are pushing strollers and dogs and whatever. Yeah.
Can't they do it like a tow away, like you would do it if you were doing a film production, where you have the signs that will be towed?
Well, first of all, the streets are very dark. Hopefully you would see that. I don't know, Curtis, what could we do on that side? It's the golf course side. That's actually kind of an incline, and people park on the incline, and they don't park up against the fence. They park kind of on the street level where it's more level. And so they're not very mindful. And especially if they're trying to find parking and get out of their car and get to the trick or treating, they're not really thinking about street signs. They're just parking wherever they find a spot.
So for that issue, as far as blocking off the street, one of the things you could do is contact Department of Transportation to maybe get a street closure or a DOT agent to help with traffic control.
Okay.
But my other part of that is, what do you think is attracting them to Toluca Lake in general? Is
Candy.
it the decoration? Is it the candy? Like
Candy.
What is it?
Well, I've always questioned that. It's safety. People feel safe. It's flat. There are a couple streets that really go all out and do amazing displays, and I know that 2 to 3 weeks leading up to Halloween, the streets are jammed with people. And then because Halloween was a Monday night this year, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, people came to our neighborhood, parked their cars, and walked to look at all the decorations. And because it was a party atmosphere, there was one house that had an ice cream truck that paid to give away free ice cream. So for 2 nights, they did that, and it attracted a lot of people. So, but I have to say, the weekend leading up to Halloween was actually more fun for me as a local because it really felt local. Halloween to me feels like very foreign, like people come into the neighborhood that normally I don't see or know. So it feels like a very different evening. So I don't know whether that, like, I know the HOA sent a memo out to all the neighbors saying, please shut down by 9 o'clock. Please don't, they gave kind of a little guideline of how things should go. And, some people follow it and some people don't. It's just a guideline. It isn't a rule. They can't dictate what people do. But it definitely was a party atmosphere this year. The pandemic's over and people were out celebrating. So
Be glad, Robin, be glad.
I am. I'm tremendously glad. I just don't.
Your neighborhood is attractive. We had a bunch of people in West Toluca Lake too, so
Good.
it's a good thing.
Good. Yeah.
Tess, did you have a similar issue in Toluca?
I don't think we had, people in danger of dying from cars. I mean, our streets are maybe just a little bit wider, but I do want to ask you about next year, now that we've launched the tremendously successful Halloween dog parade and had,
how did that go? Is it good?
well, we got covered on NBC Channel 4, a really great clip, and we had over 150 people, 40 dogs, and I think we should probably block off a street or two next year. It was wildly successful, but and while we did have tons and tons of people trick-or-treating, I didn't hear of any problems. I mean, I was out walking around myself, so I don't know that we had the parking issues that you did.
We have a few streets where the logistics are just not great. And that's why I'm saying that, like I said, Foreman to Arcola on Valley Spring Lane is extremely narrow. And then Foreman Avenue from Valley Spring Lane to Moore Park is very crowded. It's overly crowded. And so unfortunately, those two streets get blocked up and there's nowhere for those cars coming on Valley Spring Lane to either go out or go in onto Foreman. And it's just extremely congested and dangerous because Valley Spring Lane is so dark. It's so, and you can't, and people kind of weave through the parked cars to get down the street if they're walking because there's no sidewalk. So it's very dangerous. And it is every year, and it has been for forever. As long, I've lived here 30 years. It's been like that for 30 years. So
Robin, maybe an ad hoc Halloween committee next year.
That's a good idea.
I think that's a great idea, Tess. Yeah, we'll address this again next year. It's just we're talking about it because it's so fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think because it's so fresh, it's probably a good time to talk to those people in that area because sometimes you forget, and all of a sudden like, oh, that's right, that happened last year,
Okay, that's a great suggestion, Tess.
Thanks, Tess.
We'll form another committee.
Okay, great.
Suggestion.
Okay, move on. Officer Delbar, are we through with you?
I have a question.
Oh,
I have a question for Officer Delbar.
Yes, Ron.
We've heard from Mr. Mares, who's apparently no longer on, about the great increase in catalytic converter theft, and now we're hearing about the increase in copper theft. What is the strength of North Hollywood Division? Is it down from what it used to be? What are the prospects of getting it back up again? So we have proper police protection. Not your fault.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you said what are the strengths of North Hollywood Division?
What is the number of officers right now currently, and is it down from normal, or with the budget cuts cut down? What are the chances of increasing the force in North Hollywood?
So the answer to your question, yes, we are down. And as far as increasing, that is a great question. They always try and increase as much as they can. From what we're seeing right here, it seems like we're doing a lot more with less. So we're still running cars, we're still doing the best we can, but it does seem like we're working less and working a lot less, and they have the senior lead officers patrolling as well sometimes too, to cover up, to try and help out when we don't have a lot of people left. So to answer your question, yes, we're working with less.
Was there, I think probably the police, as many city departments did, had a separation incentive program. And I don't recall if it was you, Officer Delbar, or at another similar meeting, I heard that, your numbers were way down, that the LAPD is not replenishing the ranks from the academy as quickly as it would like. What are the numbers? You're down like 10, 20%?
Oh, I don't have those exact numbers
Okay.
right now.
All right. I remember it was pretty substantial. So we need to promote people going into the academy and getting out of it, because not every cadet ends up, cutting the mustard. They don't all end up, making the grade to become police officers. I think, it was CPAP. What's her name? Sorry, the gal who ran the National Night Out group. You know who I'm talking about? Sherry.
Oh, okay.
Sherry Herman.
Yeah, Sherry Herman. She was talking about that. So, and while it may not be the greatest priority in the universe, Curtis, what are the mechanisms to get a street blocked off? Is that a Department of Transportation request?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
city council and the Department of Transportation request.
Oh, say city council, council district and DOT. All right, great.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you, Officer Delbar.
Oh, I actually have one question also for Officer Delbar. Sorry, unless you have to. When there's been an increase in Californians seeking CCWs, concealed carry permits, and I know but when people go to the LAPD website, the application goes to 404. It's not available. Just so you see. I just wanted the link is broken, and I know there's been a lot of controversy about LAPD, getting involved with that process, and now it looks like the link is broken too. It's just wanted to bring that to your attention.
It's either that the link is broken or that it's too overwhelmed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's what it says. 404. Yeah.
Looks like it looks like Jonathan might have a question possibly for Curtis.
Okay, I'll put him on.
He's free to talk. He just
Okay, Jonathan, you're on.
He just has
Jonathan?
to unmute.
Oh, ask to unmute.
Officer Delbar, before you leave, I wanted to say, of course, thank you and all of the police, because I'm very much in advocacy of the police. I don't think we can live without you. The state of California and the city of Los Angeles doesn't have a stellar record of passing laws that make jobs for police officers particularly easy. In the case of the catalytic converters, what California has done just in the last few months is they've regulated who can sell a catalytic converter. And when you buy a catalytic converter, it now has to have documentation to it. And it also passed a law that actually prioritizes the police's handling of a catalytic converter theft, meaning it has to be treated as more severe. What that means is, so to speak, we have a law about human trafficking, for example, that the state of California categorizes as not violent, not aggression, human trafficking. Okay, that lets us know exactly where our lawmakers are, that politics comes before safety in many cases. When it comes to catalytic converters, though, there's a huge problem because California is particularly afflicted by it with our nice cars and our lots of driveways, meaning not all in public parking lots. So we have a good dilemma on our hands, and there's not a lot of possibility to solve it because Right now, the fine, if you're caught stealing a catalytic converter, is $1,000. The profit for stealing the converter is around $500. So you can hear it's nuts. It's just plain nuts. It's not enforcement. It's legislation. That's the problem, is that there aren't adequate penalties. Consequences have to be involved with bad choices. Thanks.
And thank you, Jonathan. Okay, Officer Delbar, we're gonna let you go and get the bad guys. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Great.
Wait, Curtis, right before you leave, we're gonna talk about the electric scooters. They've become quite an issue in the neighborhood. They're just spewed all over the place. Nobody's really keeping track of them. They're not picking them up on a regular basis. Is there something we can do to regulate electric scooters in our area? Is there a way to curtail them in some way?
You'd really have to go to the companies that employ them, whether it be Lime or whatnot, and see where they can have as far as drop-offs or even like designated drop-off locations for those scooters.
But it
and
doesn't-
I'll add, Robin?
It doesn't feel like they have a drop-off location. It just feels like there's random. Now, again, it was Halloween, so people were using them to drive around the neighborhood, but then they would just drop them off on a dark street and just leave them there. And
They just put them right in here. Like, see this? This is on Warner and Clybourne on a Sunday afternoon, just thrown in the street.
Can't see it. Hold it in the camera.
See that? There's two
Yeah.
of them right there. Just in the
Somebody
lane
sent
in
me
the
one.
street.
There's two at where is it? It's at Moore Park in Talofa.
Yeah.
And I will have to tell you, I did get a notice saying that they were allowed by this in North Hollywood. I'll have to find that. It was just that the area of North Hollywood was allowing the scooters to be there. And we got a letter from Alex Gerstensang, and he was saying that he talked to Lime, and they didn't really seem to care.
So Shannon, may I speak? So two things. The city of Beverly Hills, I'm pretty sure, put in some strict rules about that. You might want to research that, and whatever they did, maybe we can do as well. And number one. Number two, there is a specific item in the 311 app to report abandoned scooters. And that seems to work pretty well. So just use the 311 app. But I think going above the singular, the individually, abandoned scooters to the company and making it uncomfortable for them when their equipment is, junking up our neighborhoods. It could be taken to the next level. Check out what Beverly Hills has done. I recall there being some action on that a year or two ago.
I have a question. Can somebody put them in their truck and then dump them somewhere?
Oh, serious question.
It is a serious question. I'm like, let's say if I had a truck and I put them in the back of my truck, can I just drop them off somewhere? Or maybe we don't really know. The right
It is
answer.
private property, and they do track them.
Yeah, if you ever
Well,
tried
that's my
moving one
question,
of
Officer
those.
Delaware. What is
And
private
they're heavy as
property?
hell.
Because I see them, like the ones that were, the ones I showed you here, I've seen them also on the strip of land between a sidewalk and someone's home, or sorry, the street, and then there's a strip of land, right away, I guess, and then the sidewalk, and then the actual curb and the front lawn. How does that work? Is that private property owned by the homeowner, and can they remove them?
Are you talking about the frontage between the street and the home? That little grass area sometimes?
Yeah, if it's between the sidewalk and the street, there's usually a green strip. That's a right of way?
So that's actually maintained by the homeowner, but I believe it's part of the city.
But so that's where I've seen a lot of these scooters on that grassy area. But the homeowner wouldn't be able to maintain their property, wouldn't be able to mow the grass or maintain it with someone else's private property on their private property, even if it's maintained. Well, you know what I mean?
Let me circle back to Shannon's question really quick. Those scooters are very heavy to move.
Okay.
I've tried lifting them myself. They are very difficult to move. It's one of those things where you can do it at your own risk. and you may want to contact Lime, but in effect, if you are doing that, you're kind of doing Lime's job for them.
True.
And so maybe you can be like a subcontractor for Lime. So, but this
I like that idea.
kind of like how we have some shopping cart collectors that go around collecting it for the stores. Maybe Lime would be okay
They
with
charge
that.
the stores for them.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
I'll follow up on that with Lime and see what we can do. And maybe there's it's just even a thing where for the right now that we have a phone number to call so they can pick them up, you know?
And I use Lime as an example, but there's other companies as well.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it seems like there's been an excessive amount in our neighborhood lately. But
Mhm.
again, it could have been because of Halloween and people were using them to scoot around the neighborhood at night. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll kind of diminish now that Halloween's over, but
I'll get
has
more.
been very, it's frustrating because they're not standing upright. Whenever I see them, they're laying on their side. So I don't know if whoever has ridden it just lets it go. Like it's fun to just dump it on its side.
They don't care, Robin. They don't care. Just that, and that's part of the marketing and attraction of them. It's just one way.
Yeah.
And you know, when you run out of juice or money or whatever you've paid to ride, I think it's a pay per mile. They just dump it.
Yeah.
I'll get more information.
Touch brings up a good point. Touch brings up a good point. It's not their issue, not their concern.
Yeah.
And they don't have to worry about cleaning it up. It's not theirs. They don't have to take care of it. If it was their scooter, it would not be on the ground like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just curious because Colby noted that it was has been an issue. And then because he brought it up, I started noticing how many more I saw. So yeah, I don't know, Tess, if they're in your neighborhood as well.
We get some here too. You know, we call them in and
Okay. Okay. All right, Shannon, you want to move on to ACS, our favorite security company in the
Thank you, Officer
neighborhood?
Delbar.
Bye-bye, you
Thanks,
guys.
Curtis.
bye, Curtis.
And Curtis, let me know what happened with that Grand Theft Auto thing. Will you
Yes.
just let me know?
When I find out more, I'll let you guys know.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving to ACS.
Oh, looks like
Robin?
Ampar has a question.
Oh. Okay, let me put Steve on.
Just unmute, Steve.
Yeah, I just heard from a neighbor on Navajo that they rammed the gate onto Lakeside and drove onto the golf course.
Oh my God.
God.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just word on the
Well, I
street.
hear the helicopter.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Wow.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
That's one way to get on the golf course.
Yeah, it's one way to get into Lakeside.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
All
Steve.
right. Speaking of security, ACS.
Okay, Robin, do you have information on that?
All I know is ACS is making another pass at trying to blanket the neighborhood. Rhonda, who's our rep for this area, is looking to try to, of course, sign people up again. Our goal always is to have a full-time car in Toluca Lake, and we share the car with the Donias, which is up in Studio City. So that means they're only here half the time. We had gotten fairly close, or I don't want to say close, but we got quite a few people to sign up, and then things happen and either people moved or, it's dropped off again. So we did meet, Shannon was part of that committee. We met with ACS and we talked to another company, and it was clear that ACS certainly has many more services available that make more sense for our neighborhood. And they do seem to have a good security company. And as we talked about many times, our first defense, of course, is us. Second defense is private security. And then third defense is the LAPD. And LAPD, as you heard earlier in the meeting, is very short-staffed and unable to deal with all of these issues. So there are many people in Toluca Lake that are looking for private security. The homeowners does endorse ACS. I don't know if any of you have ACS. I forget what their fee is now. What is it, Colby? Maybe $60 a month?
Oh, I don't know. I don't use them.
Okay, 60. I forget what they are a month. The nice thing about ACS is they have a vacation service. So if you're out of town and you call ACS and say, I'm going out of town, will you pick up my paper? Will you go check on my property? Will you, I know that if you have ACS and you're feeling uncomfortable coming home late at night, they will meet you and walk you to your door. So there are some real advantages to ACS. I know they will come much quicker than LAPD, but they will not enter your property unless you have them as your company. Just because people on your block have it doesn't mean you're safe. It just means that your neighbor is safe. So do you have anything you want to say about ACS, Shannon?
No, I think you covered it.
But I think a lot of criminals aren't afraid of these protective services, to be honest with you. They know that they don't have the power to arrest anybody or to do
Well,
anything.
they do carry, I believe, a weapon.
But they can't use them. They really can't. They're civilians, and they are. You can't. They're just like you and I. They have no more powers than I would go into a friend's house to help him or her. They really are not, unfortunately, as effective as people might think, because the criminals know that they have no real power. And then they're just civilians. That's all they are, unfortunately.
Something we were told at that meeting, though, with Robin, is that you have the three layers of defense, and the first is you with your, lighting and dogs barking and pepper spray and things like that, and then the second would be the patrol, because the third, they're saying that the LAPD, and it was from, I think we were told, not from the patrol service, but from somebody who knows LAPD, that actually LAPD is your third defense, because it takes them so long to get there because they're so understaffed, that maybe just be a second, just somebody call and just, at least if you're home alone or, something's happening, I don't know if they can arrest them, but at least they can stop them, I believe, maybe scare them off.
Or if you have people on your property that do not belong there, they can be there for you. You're not there alone. And really it's about getting to you as quickly as possible if you're feeling afraid.
Yeah.
So I know that on a couple of our streets, we have a private security company that sits there. They pay a lot more than $60 a month, but they have private security. And I know more and more homes in the area are enlisting the help of private security. So you'll probably see more and more parked cars in the neighborhood that are private security.
And that's really the way to go, unfortunately, is to have one car for about 10 or 12 homes. That's what I've seen, and I see that, and as Robin said, but to be honest with you, having one car for share between the Donnas and us, and it's, that's why we take a different route on my street. But it's
well, that's why getting more people signed up will ensure having a car 24 hours in our neighborhood only.
And I think they're going to be at the turkey trot.
Yes.
Too. So if people have questions or, maybe more people want to sign up, that's an opportunity.
And please, everyone, if you want to walk or run or just come and participate, the turkey trot is now kind of taken over for the Taste of Toluca Earth Day celebration. It's become a big neighborhood event. All the organizations will be present there. They're going to have activities and games and things for kids and things for adults, and it's a pretty big event. Now it's not in the Chase parking lot, it's in the parking lot at the corner of Riverside and Clybourne. So it's in that big parking lot on that day, but the race does start on Clybourne.
Great, thank you. Okay, that's all of our old business or ongoing business?
New business?
Anything of new business?
Yeah, it's sort of lingering business. So the disposition of this committee, coming, going, I know that there's been interest from some people to be on this committee, board members. So Robin and Colby, are you planning to stay? Are you, and nobody wants to get moved out or pushed off, but we do have.
You're helping me transition.
Okay,
I'm
great.
I'm happy to go whenever Shannon feels comfortable driving Zoom. I'm happy to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now I'm still interested in being on the committee. I'm helping Shannon transition, of course, and I mean, anybody can come and participate. They don't have to be on the committee. They can still come and participate.
Well, I want to specifically address absenteeism. Sean, did you have anything to add on that?
I actually sent that. I created an Excel spreadsheet after the last time we had a conversation about this. I actually went back and went through every single set of minutes that we had since our inception back in June of last year. And I just marked everything. I forwarded that to Colby. Colby has that. And it kind of shows a list of who's been present for most of the meeting and who's been absent most of the meetings. And to that, we also recently, once we redid our minutes, not our minutes, excuse me, our the standing rules say that if you've missed a certain number of times and you're no longer, you can be, forgive me, I'm a little lost for words today. But if you miss so many meetings at that point, then you're kind of put on notice that you haven't been to these meetings and that you should no longer be a part of this, committee if you're not attending. So Colby, you have those minutes, and Shannon, I can send those to you if you'd like. That.
I do. We have a couple of members who have not attended many meetings.
And they may not wish to continue, because I know that at least in the case of two of them, they've had a lot of extra things to deal with, including a newborn child. So something to be handled, I guess. So,
and I thank Sean for putting that together. That took a lot of tedious work. Thank you, Sean.
And we do have next month we are dark, so that will give us time. So at the beginning of the year, we could address that, and then hopefully get the new people on ready for January. And Jonathan has a question.
Jonathan has his hand raised, Shannon, if you want to call on him.
Jonathan?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
This is a 1-year anniversary month for Kevin D's committee member not to come to a committee meeting. So that's a really long time to not be dealing with something. He probably doesn't want to be on the committee since a year has passed.
Can we not use his name, as Tess and Shannon have very graciously not spoken of their name?
No, I'd like to use his name because the person's accountable for their doing. There's nothing wrong with Kevin not coming to a meeting. My focus, Robin, specifically, is the problem of not acknowledging a disinterest. In other words, it's a committee's problem not to look at its own attendance. It has nothing to do with Kevin. I'm not saying Kevin did anything right or wrong. It's just a year passed and nobody's talking about it. So this isn't a reflection. This is the problem with accountability. If someone doesn't submit an agenda, we need to know who's not submitting the agenda. So as a neighborhood council, we can deal with it. If someone's not being trained, that's a public record. If they're not getting their training, we need to be talking about who's not training themselves, because that's the public record. So this isn't about privacy issues. This is about accountability. If you're not going to be accountable, then it's just such a bad flavor to put in a cake. So no, I'm sorry. It's not a reflection on an individual. It's about the committee, the functionality of a committee. So since we're going to be wrapping up the meeting shortly, I also wanted to say now that I recommend that this committee think about submitting a letter of action having to do with unsheltered people who don't accept assistance. It's coming up more and more in gatherings of, let's just say, the doers, the lawmakers, and people all around Los Angeles, because believe it or not, it's another state law that has to be changed before we can grapple with the #1 problem in our community, which is what happens when people just do bad things and there's no law, there's no accountability, there's no recourse for us as a community to deal with somebody who's perfectly content tearing down signs and defacing the public space. So I think that probably this committee looking at a letter of action toward that, what should be our response to that existing, it's a SB law, a Senate law, I believe that was passed, that prevents, a lot of it goes back to a senator called Weiner. A lot of crap has come out in terms of laws that really make a problem for public safety. In any case, I think that that's something we can think about as new business in this committee. At least I hope you would. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Any other new business? Okay, well, I'd like to reiterate, we are going to be dark next month. And a couple of things, we have a holiday open house on December 3rd. And we also, everybody's invited. We have the Toluca Lake annual meetings on Wednesday at the Gary Marshall Theater. And everybody's welcome, and we would love to have you there. I do see it hand up, and I'll do that. But just go on, if you want to go to our annual meeting, just go to the Toluca Lake Chamber website and RSVP on there. We would love to have you. And I think, is that Jonathan? I think you got, okay.
And
That might
Shannon,
be
if,
earlier.
Sorry, thank you.
Oh, okay. That's
Shannon,
really good.
if you need help running the meeting, I'd be happy to, assist.
Oh, this meeting?
Yeah, if
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, because I just, I'm learning as I go, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That would be a great help.
Okay, so we're going to close the meeting.
Okay.
What time is it?
8:22.
8:22. And remember, we will not meet again until January 2nd, 2023. So thank you all, and have a happy holidays.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.